Welcome to The Beat, Knox County Public Library's poetry podcast. Today we'll hear Denton Loving read his poems Copperhead, Foundation, and Hurdling. Loving will also read a poem by D.H. Lawrence called The Hummingbird.
Copperhead. Dead, the copperhead that slipped down the ridge in summer's elongated dusk to forage small prey and taste cool creek, and me, racing against the sun on its path beyond the mountains to end my task mowing tall grass between apples, pears, and peaches. Before the snake, I had been looking without resentment at the day well spent, a day devoted to necessary labor. Later, memory of cold blood spilled on steel blades lingered in the night air, like honeysuckle and regret. Foundation. Unable to stand in our hillside orchard, too weak to swing a mattock or to wrestle with dirt, my dad wants to plant peach trees. For him, I tear the earth open. Rocks bleed out from the poor mountain soil, and I unwrap swaddled peach roots. Before I scrape the dirt back and tamp it down, I return the largest rock under the young roots, a surrogate for what I fear. I bury it back, imagine the roots encircling the rock, enclosing it, building from its foundation, like the hard stone buried in the sweetest fruit. Hurdling. I'm 5 again, and it's so dark I can't see the road. Are we going through a tunnel? My dead father says no, go back to sleep. He reaches across the bench seat. The weight of his hand quiets the starlings in my belly. I know I'm safe as long as he's close. Within the darkness, stars pinprick the horizon. The small blue egg inside my breastbone cracks with understanding. We're not sweeping through a tunnel under the crush of a mountain. We are hurtling across the heavens on the wings of an ancient, magical bird. Like my own father, D.H. Lawrence was the son of a coal miner, and his writings about his early life in a mining community have always reminded me of my father's stories from the coal fields of eastern Kentucky. There's a poem in my collection, Tamp, where the hummingbird becomes a vehicle for my father's soul, so I was very happy to recently discover this poem by D.H. Lawrence. This is Hummingbird. I can imagine in some other world, primeval dumb, far back in that most awful stillness that only gasped and hummed, hummingbirds raced down the avenues. Before anything had a soul, while life was a heave of matter, half inanimate, this little bit chipped off in brilliance and went whizzing through the slow, vast, succulent stems. I believe there were no flowers then in the world where the hummingbird flashed ahead of creation. I believe he pierced the slow vegetable veins with his long beak. Probably he was big, as mosses and little lizards they say were once big. Probably he was a jabbing, terrifying monster. We look at him through the wrong end of the long telescope of time, luckily for us.
You just heard Denton Loving read his poems Copperhead, Foundation, and Hurdling from his most recent book, Tamp, which was published in April by Mercer University Press. He followed with The Hummingbird by D.H. Lawrence. Loving was kind enough to record these poems for us at his home in the Cumberland Gap region. Denton Loving has published 2 books of poetry. He holds an MFA in Writing and Literature from Bennington College. His work has appeared in the Kenyon Review, Tupelo Quarterly, Harvard Divinity Bulletin, the Threepenny Review, and Ecotone. He is a co-founder and editor at EastOver Press and the literary journal Cutleaf. D.H. Lawrence was born in 1885 in Eastwood, Nottinghamshire in England, and he died in 1930 in the south of France. Though Lawrence is best known for his novels, he also published short stories, plays, essays, criticism, and more than a dozen collections of poetry. You can find Denton Loving's book, Tamp, in our online catalog, along with books by and about D.H. Lawrence. Also look for links in the show notes. Please join us next time for The Beat.
Thank you for listening to and sharing this podcast from Knox County Public Library in Knoxville, Tennessee. Music by Chad Crouch. Explore life-changing resources on our website, knoxcountylibrary.org. Find our podcasts under the Programs menu, including over 100 book and author talks. knoxcountylibrary.org, your essential connection for lifelong learning and information.